Hello and welcome to Behind the Mask, Thriving in Healthcare, a podcast created for healthcare employees to explore not only issues relating to mental and emotional health, but also unique challenges that those working in healthcare are faced with. Your hosts are Adina Tucker, a licensed clinical social worker with Dartmouth Health, and Jennifer Hensey, an MSW also with Dartmouth Health. January is National Staying Healthy Month. So, on this episode, we are going to bring some awareness to a public health campaign called Dry January. This is something that asks people to refrain from drinking for the entire month of January. And we would like to preface this episode with the disclaimer that we are not doctors. So, before you start any sort of abstinence from alcohol, if you are a regular drinker, please consult your physician to determine the best course of action given your personal medical history. And all of that to say, even if you haven't been diagnosed with alcohol use disorder, there are benefits from taking a break from drinking alcohol. It is a great way to reset your health and to give you time to reflect on your drinking habits to see if that's an area where you need to do some self exploration.
There was a study in 2021 by the Journal of Substance Abuse Research and Treatment, and it found that depression is now associated with more frequent alcohol use as compared to pre-COVID times. And that actually makes sense. When we're depressed or even dealing with anxiety, what most of us look for is something to distract us or get our minds in a different place. But the issue with using alcohol as a distraction or a way to numb ourselves is that it can actually make anxiety and depression a lot worse. In the short term, alcohol seems to improve our mood, but overall, using it actually increases symptoms of both depression and anxiety. It can lower our serotonin and norepinephrine levels, which help to regulate our moods. It can temporarily stop the effects of stress hormones. Another finding from that study is that alcohol can activate a gene that's linked with both depression and other mental health problems.
And more people, even those who don't drink often, are participating in Dry January because it does have a lot of health benefits, regardless of whether or not you're a regular drinker or not. Dry January was started in 2013 by an organization called Alcohol Change UK when they were trying to raise money for alcohol abuse and awareness and treatment. The health campaign spread and led to more people taking part in it. But it makes sense, though. If you think about the time period from Thanksgiving to New Year's, there's a lot of opportunities and situations where people might be indulging in drinking more than usual with family at parties. And so after doing that for a couple months straight, it could leave you feeling a little sluggish.
We thought we'd go over some information about alcohol that might be helpful. Those of you who don't drink often may be thinking that something like Dry January is mostly for those who are heavy drinkers. But according to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, heavy drinking is having more than 7 drinks during the course of a week. Binge drinking, on the other hand, is having more than 4 drinks in a 2-hour period. Each of these come with their own risk and negative health effects, of course. Binge drinking causes your blood alcohol level to rise very rapidly, and when that happens, the levels of impairment also increase. Impairment with raised blood alcohol levels are things like lowered inhibitions, motor skills, discoordination, and memory issues. It's not difficult to see how these impairments can lead to issues if you try to drive a car or even just walk. You can fall and also get into some other really risky behaviors.
And these are obvious immediate issues, but heavy drinking also tends to create an overall health impact because it's done consistently over a long time. You can develop chronic medical issues from heavy drinking, and those can include liver disease, high blood pressure, and it increases your risk of certain types of cancer. If you're listening to this and you're realizing that you might be considered a heavy drinker, before you decide to suddenly stop drinking, you should always consult your physician. If you've been drinking frequently, it can make your body dependent on the alcohol, and you've likely built up a high tolerance. So, if you're just to quit drinking altogether at once, you could have issues such as withdrawal, shakes, nausea, and vomiting, and even some much more serious issues like seizures, coma, delirium, or death. You should meet with your doctor, tell them you'd like to cut down or stop completely, and that you would like some guidance on how to safely cut down on your alcohol consumption.
So even if you aren't a heavy drinker and you just want to take a break for dry January, or if you've consulted with your doctor and they're going to help you work towards cutting back and stopping your drinking, let's consider what we can expect in terms of health changes. Well, for one, you're going to improve your sleep and you'll likely feel more energetic. Alcohol affects our sleep because it doesn't allow us to get that deep sleep. So that's one reason why after a night of drinking, even if you've drank to the point you've passed out and you've slept for hours, you may feel very tired the next day. Alcohol actually creates an imbalance between slow wave sleep and REM sleep. That imbalance created can decrease overall sleep quality and the amount of sleep you get. If you suffer from insomnia, alcohol can increase insomnia symptoms too. Sleep apnea is a sleep disorder that causes temporary loss of breathing while sleeping, and there's been a lot of research done about the relationship between the two. And the findings are that drinking alcohol increases your sleep apnea by about 25%. So it's easy to see how your sleep could improve by cutting out alcohol. And once you've cut out alcohol for a long period of time, you'll start to feel a lot more energetic in the mornings. Another benefit from not drinking is your skin might even look better. Drinking can easily make us dehydrated, which obviously affects our skin and our whole body. If you can even increase your water intake while you're abstaining from alcohol, that's an added benefit. Alcohol has ingredients to stimulate an overproduction of oil, and that, along with other issues that happen within the body when we drink, like increased insulin and inflammation, all of that can cause acne.
You might also lose weight. Alcoholic drinks can add a lot of calories to our diets, so cutting that out might cause you to lose some weight. It can also help us from just snacking, just to snack, because when we are drinking, sometimes we can overeat. Something else that drinking can affect is our immune system and how it functions. Without drinking, we will have less inflammation in our bodies. And in turn, our immune systems will be better prepared to fight off any kind of funk that we may encounter or illness. Your anxiety might improve because alcohol can actually cause anxiety and jitteriness. As we talked about earlier, alcohol affects chemicals in your brain, including serotonin. These chemicals affect our moods. So sometimes when you have a hangover, you also have increased anxiety. Without the hangover, you might have less anxiety. Alcohol also can cause headaches. People who regularly have migraines know that alcohol can be a trigger for migraine headaches. Even those who don't normally get migraines will experience less headaches without drinking, because drinking can cause us to become dehydrated. And then, of course, dehydration leads to headaches.
Well, these are some real benefits. So, whether you're a heavy drinker and you need to talk to your doctor first before you attempt dry January, or maybe you just drink occasionally and you really feel like this is something you want to give a shot, these are all really great benefits that come from just cutting back alcohol or giving it up entirely. The same way that you would with setting goals. And we talked about this when we looked at New Year's resolutions and health related goals in general. You should think about what your motivation is for trying to cut back on your alcohol. And then once you finally figured out why you want to take a break from the alcohol and what you're hoping to gain, that's when you can figure out the logistics of how you're actually going to do that and how you're going to set yourself up for success without feeling like you're missing out on something. Substitutions for alcoholic beverages are a good idea. If you normally meet up for cocktails on a certain day of the week, you could look at doing a different activity with a friend instead.
No, that's a great idea. And just like with your health goals or your New Year's resolutions, you can set some goals around taking a break from drinking. You still want to use the SMART method in order to set yourself up for success, but what what is the reason for taking a break? Do you want to save money that you would normally spend on alcohol, going out to dinner and getting a drink with dinner? Alcoholic drinks can be very expensive. Are you wanting to improve your water intake, work on your skincare, sleep better? You can think about what positive goal you might want to work towards that would come from not drinking, and see if you can get a friend to join you. Everything is better when you have a friend along for the journey, and this is no different. You can challenge each other and hold each other accountable. And also, like Jennifer mentioned, come up with different activities that don't center around drinking.
I think that's great. And this made me think about I've seen a lot more places being alcohol-free friendly to folks and having sober nights and those kombucha bars that are opening up, I've seen that are all promoting living an alcohol-free lifestyle and going out for entertainment as you would perhaps usually to a bar for happy hour or something, but not having to involve alcohol.
I've also seen a lot of restaurants having very extensive mocktail
Ah,
menus.
yeah.
So it's like the same kind of thing, but without the alcohol in it.
Hmm.
It's still a lot of sugar, I guess, but
Yeah.
if you're just cutting out alcohol, maybe
Yeah.
you don't care about the sugar. Any more thoughts that you have about this?
Well, one thing that's also brings to mind is the Whole 30 movement. I've heard a lot of people like to pair up dry January with going Whole 30.
Yeah, I've done the Whole30 a couple of times. It is very, I think it's just the kind of with anything that you do where you're eliminating something to see how it affects your body. One thing I noticed, I mean, I'm not gluten intolerant, and I love bread. But one thing I noticed after doing the Whole30 is that when I eat a lot of bread, I get bloated.
Ah, yeah.
And the same thing, unfortunately, with cheese.
Uh,
So it's one of those things where maybe afterwards you don't continue going without it,
mhm,
whatever the thing is,
yeah.
but at least gives you a little more awareness of how you're actually affected by the things you consume
Hmm.
and lets you make some decisions about how you want to move forward.
Yeah. It's like a great reset. And then from there, you can figure out how to moderate it appropriately.
Well, we hope everyone has
Yeah.
a wonderful January. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week. As always, if you'd like more information and support, please check out our site at dartmouth-health.cobalt.care for additional content, connection to resources, support groups that you can sign up to attend, or to connect to one of our clinicians for counseling, psychotherapy, or medication evaluation. We appreciate you listening and hope you have a wonderful week.